Are you all set?
Okay, it is 8:30, we can get started.
There you go, now apart. Okay, good morning. Today is, excuse me, today is October 2nd, holy crow. 2024, called to order for the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board meeting. This morning, present at today's meeting are
Howard Trish.
Kyle Gregory,
Nicole Fragnito.
Jeff Romano,
Hillary Donahue.
And Kate Auwetter.
reviewing the minutes. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of September the 12th meeting?
I move to accept the minutes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any changes, modifications to the minutes as adopted, as submitted? Thank you. Hearing none, minutes are adopted as submitted. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Starting on today's agenda, sorry.
No, you're good. I think I can introduce
Sure.
we'll just move directly into old business.
Yeah, there's no public hearings today, so old
Yep.
business it is.
Yep. So this is a continuation of minor site plan review for the Niagara Mohawk building, also National Grid building, of course, 300 to 320 Erie Boulevard. This is a project involving the main entrance doors as well as signage. The property is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and the board reviewed this. Actually, I think it was 2 meetings ago, and almost everyone has been on a site visit to see the building too. And with that, I'll open it up to.
Can we get a micro? Yeah, thank you, Kate. Yeah, please
Okay.
speak into the microphone because they won't pick you up. And then if you can
Okay.
introduce yourself for the record, please.
All right. Lynn Kozak, architect with Nelson Associates. So this is kind of take 2. The drawings were revised, and I reviewed with the owner what your recommendations were, and he accepted those. So what you see before you is the demolition drawing. All the drawings on all the doors on the interior side of the vestibule will remain as is, with an exception, which I will mention. The 3 doors on the right-hand side will remain. All of the trim up above, underneath the Niagara Mohawk power sign, will remain. The 3 pieces of trim, 2 on the right and 1 on the left, will remain. And what will be removed on this, I have been talking to B.R. Johnson. The exterior edge of the door is not flat like you would put on a continuous hinge, which the board said we could switch the hardware to a continuous hinge. That won't work because it's a slightly rounded profile with a little edge on, with a little lip on it, which locks into the exterior frame. So we will be continuing with the recessed floor closers and the top pivot. We'll replace them in kind with whatever fits. So this demolition shows the removal for both the interior vestibule doors and the exterior for all of that. I think that's all for the demolition. We're not demolishing too much at all.
Have I gone too far?
So the new drawing just shows kind of a recreation of what is there. Number 7. Is the piece of trim that was lying on the floor, which is shown in the photo there. I do have new photos of the flip side, and the undulated stainless steel is not in too bad a condition. It is dented down at the bottom. So when we go out to bid, that bottom photo will be replaced, showing the contractors bidding what shape it's in. Also, the bid will be a mandatory bid so they can see what the pieces are and see what they're getting into. So the 3 doors on the left will be a recreation of the doors that were there in stainless steel. I've asked them to recreate the one door push bar, which was missing. I've had them move all the pieces on site, and they still couldn't find it, so whether that flew into the car or we don't know what happened to it. So the hardware that will go back on the doors, besides the recessed closer and the pivot hinge, will mock what was there before. So it'll mock the outside. We'll connect the first leaf on the left-hand side to the automatic opener, which is the ADA access into the area. I think that's it for the doors. Can I have the next sheet? And again, this shows existing conditions. I know a question was asked about the glass last time. So I did bring some samples. Please don't cut yourself on it. Match that. I have coordinated with the manufacturer of the back coating, how much adhesive needs to go on the back for a flat wall application, and the types of adhesive that won't interact with the coating. So I think we're good for that. I've asked for the light covers, which there are 6 of them, 3 on each side of the interior of the vestibule to be replaced in kind. A repair on the terrazzo floor, which was cracked, and everything else should remain the same. I've put notes in there to replace this one piece over here, cracked, but it was replaced with plexiglass. I've asked them to replace that with glass, and I've asked them to do the frosted gradient to match the existing that's there. That's all I had for that. Any questions?
This glass tile, that's the wall tile?
Yes.
And then you just mentioned that glazing, this like the smoke haze on that, that'll be applied on that tile?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then that was the east wall of the vestibule.
That was actually the east and the west.
And the west wall was totally damaged. Excellent. Any other comments?
Found someone for the doors to repair the doors. Did I hear that right?
I'm sorry, what?
Found someone to repair the doors.
Well, that will be put out to bid. So
Yeah,
I've
okay.
talked to a couple different companies. One is B.R. Johnson, who said that they would be willing to find a metal fabricator to do that. I contacted quite a few metal fabricators, including Raleigh and Syracuse, and they said they weren't willing to do that. But if it goes through a GC with a bid set and specs, then they're more likely to do that. I also have, I called Julia, gave me a reference to Stuart Dean Restoration Specialist. I called them up, sent them some information. They said they would also be willing to bid on it to do the work. Oh, stainless steel, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So the remainder, can we go back one?
Hopefully. That,
Down one,
oh, down one.
A100. In between.
A100, where is the A100? Hold on. Oh, that's AD. Hold on. Whoop, there we go. Sorry.
So these will be new stainless steel here.
You can't touch it, sir. Hold on.
You can stay there.
Oh, no, I just moved it. Hold on. Okay, there we go.
So I called out for all of the remaining stainless steel, both inside and outside, cleaned and a protective coating to be applied. Got that.
My question, it's the spirit of light. What's going on with the neon?
I talked to National Grid about that, and they do not want to pursue anything at this point in time, so it will just be left as is.
Any other comment? I would just like to say thank you for hearing our concerns and reacting. This has been a great turnaround, I feel, from our input to really protect and preserve this iconic building in Central New York. So I applaud all your changes and making a huge difference on this vestibule restoration project. So thank you for that. Looks great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Sure. Want me to run the mouse? Okay.
I can touch it too, right?
You can touch it. You can touch it, or you can.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to go stand up in there, and maybe you should be able to scroll with your hand.
You can scroll, and you can either scroll with your finger, or you can scroll with the. There you go. You got it.
There we go. Start with the site plan here. So good morning. My name's Brian Bouchard. I'm with CHA Consulting, project engineer, and John Anderson with McKnight Architecture, who's the project architect, working on behalf of the owner. So we've been working on this project for the better part of a year now, so I'll give you a quick introduction and then tell you what the changes are and why we're here. So this is 420 and 430 East Genesee Street. So these are two separate parcels. We've been through a process with both the Board of Zoning Appeals to allow for residential units on the ground floor because of the intricacies of such old buildings, not necessarily conforming to commercial standards that are allowed or approved within the zoning district that we're in. So we did apply to the Board of Zoning Appeals to allow for residential units to be allowed on the ground floor along with the upper floors. So this is truly a renovation of the interiors to allow for additional housing within the city. So these are two separate parcels, and we went through the process to combine them into one contiguous parcel, and the reason for that is because there's a narrow alleyway between 420 and 30 that's very narrow, and there's certain code requirements for window openings in proximity to property lines. So the owner has acquired both properties. We combined them formally so that there are no code issues with respect to like window openings and things like that, but they will be two separate buildings still. By way of background, 420 constructed in 1956. So this was designed by King & King and served as their architectural studio, for many years, throughout the 50s and 60s. And both by SHPO and NPS is accepted for eligibility to the National Historic Places. So that's more of an interior renovation for the residential apartments. The 430 building was constructed, which is what we're talking about here today, which was constructed in 1922 by Melvin King. And this was a purpose-built clubhouse for the local boys club chapter in the city of Syracuse. So it's 5 stories, designed in the collegiate Gothic style. And it operated as the boys club until about the 1980s when it was actually converted to a law office. And this has also been nominated to the National Historic Places Registry. So we took this through the Planning Commission, interior fit-outs for residential apartments, some very minor site changes to reconfigure the parking lot. The main thing with the site was to sort of decommission or abandon that existing vehicular driveway, narrow alleyway between the two buildings. It's really an out driveway now, and it's kind of unsafe because it's so claustrophobic. So we've added a driveway out to McCarthy so that there's access to and from the parking areas for fire access, but we've made that alleyway between the buildings more of a pedestrian corridor with brick pavers and some landscaping up along the water table of each building. In the time that we've spent since the project was approved and supported by both the BZA and the Planning Commission, we have continued down the path of our historic tax credit program, which is obviously instrumental. The project would not exist financially without those historic tax credits. And most recently, John's office and our historic consultant Traceries have received comments on the Part 2 application. And if you could scroll to the next page, this was the original floor plan that we took through the Planning Commission and provided to NPS and SHPO as part of our Part 2. And you can notice what John's circling there. There's really two things that were commented on by SHPO in terms of preserving sort of what is remaining of the historic fabric inside the building. The two most important things are the existing stairwell, which has a lot of historic attributes to it in terms of its stone and the railings and things like that. But that stairwell does not meet egress code requirements for today's code. So the other aspect is the old pool area, which has since obviously been covered up, but there's some really interesting like mosaic tiles around it. And because it was the boys' club, it's part of the important historic attributes that SHPO and MPS commented on. Our original plan, because of proximity and width of stairwells, was to add a stairwell to that space. There's obviously requirements for the length of egress, so using the existing stairs, but also having a new stair that would meet code requirement. And their comment was that that stair disrupted essentially that pool area. And in working with both Robin from SHPO and MPS, we have come up with a new design, which is shown here, to essentially leave the entire pool area and existing stair as historic, leave them alone, and add a code compliant stair to the exterior of the building. So that's the only change that's shown on the site plan. It's fairly minor on the site plan. We were able to work around it because it's kind of a dead spot in the back of the site, and then still accomplish our egress requirements to essentially move this project forward in terms of preserving not only the building, but adding the residential units there. So if we go to the elevations that John created, you know, it shows that appendage sort of before and after being kind of tucked in that back area, kind of in that alcove between 420, the sheriff's office, and McCarthy. It's really the only place that it could exist because of property lines that otherwise box this building in. And then also just its location is important because of those egress paths from the residential units and the length of distance that's required. So there's sort of the before and after of attaching that stair to the exterior of the building. The exterior finishes. So this owner is the owner that recently completed 101 South Salina, the Treasury, which I think you guys were involved with. So this is sort of his next step in the city of Syracuse to take on quite another project with two buildings. And so the exterior materials are similar to the finishes that we did for the Treasury building, which is a simulated brick finish to match identically the existing brick in an EFIS material, and then continuing the stone water table that's shown on the front facade of the Boys Club with a smooth finish CMU block. The egress door would face the McCarthy side so that we can continue that egress path out to a right-of-way. The first floor would actually discharge to a different building within a corridor that exists around the electrical room. So the stair tower is really just for the upper residential units to escape in the event of emergency there. So what we're obviously looking for you, this was a change to the site plan in terms of our project review. So I provided a minor modification to the zoning administrator's office, and because of the sort of external nature of the stair, we wanted to visit the Landmark Preservation Board to get your hopefully positive feedback and comments back to the zoning office. We're in the middle of the permitting process, so schedule is obviously at hand and making sure that we get our permitting done. These are changes to the drawings that we need to amend, so hopefully if you're satisfied, we can continue that process, or any comments that you have, we can certainly answer any questions today.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the board?
I'm not familiar with the brick patterned EFIS. Is this something that'll be, can you explain that? I've only ever seen flat or large panel EFIS, and you guys don't provide any samples or anything, so.
So the owner did a similar application over at 101, the Treasury, as Brian mentioned. What it'll look like EFIS, it'll have like a brick texture, and they actually have a stamp or a,
With the stamp.
where it'll actually create a brick, texture pattern. Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And the CMU is like a ground face, or?
It'll be a smooth ground face CMU, yes.
Okay.
Very, very smooth.
Approximating
And
the
see all the
color of the
aggregates and
existing-
everything. And it'll pick up on the existing, stone base or the masonry base on the historic building.
So what I'm hearing is that the first floor of the stair tower is actually concrete block construction, simulating, but not replicating the first floor base of the historic Boys Club building.
Right, it won't match perfect only because it was from, 100 years difference.
No,
But
we don't want
it's-
it,
complements
we don't
each
want it to match, we want it to blend, but not match. And then the upper floors is an IFAS material?
Correct. EFIS, but it'll, appear to be brick. But it'll actually be EFIS in reality to add, insulation to the stair tower and also to, give it a little more texture. Since you will be able to see it from the street level, we wanted to make it look a little better, even better than what the owner did at the other building.
Right. And the site plan change, it's very minor, it's just an additional walk to the south to McCarthy?
Yeah, we actually didn't lose any parking spaces. This was kind of the area that we allocated for, the resident parking and also bike parking and sort of that plaza that was once straight. So really by adding the stair tower, all we had to do was curve the sidewalk so that we could still get sort of that pedestrian traffic between McCarthy and East Genesee. So there's really no significant changes in terms of loss of parking or anything like that, that we were able to find a home for it on the site plan as well.
Okay. Anything else? So, comment, Howard? So a comment in the affirmative on the changes here is what I hear from the board?
Yes.
Yep. Wonderful.
Excellent, okay, great job, guys.
Thanks for your time, appreciate it.
Great project, thank you.
Thank you.
Fell down here on Harrison Street.
So that's the tech, it is the tech garden, and they're expanding as the tech garden. My firm actually pursued that. We didn't even make it to the interview, but it's a lot more extensive.
It really, we'll talk.
I will introduce. Yeah, so the next item under new business is major site plan review 24-32 for 401 South Clinton Street. The project involves demolishing a garage. It is a non-contributing feature of the Armory Square Historic District, and the construction of a 6-story residential building. And as I just said, it is located in the National Register district. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jim Niddle.
Good morning. Jim Niddle, in Architects, 239 East Water Street. We've been working with the owners of the, what's been known historically as the Shoppers Garage. As early as 1983, it was recommended that it be torn down. There's been structural issues with this garage for 40 years now. So the current owners have been putting Band-Aids on it, but it's, past the point of really spending any money on it anymore. So the simple idea here is to tear the garage down to basically to the lower level footings, foundations. We've been working with Beardsley Engineer and Stopin to determine the viability of that. And then we can build off of that, keeping the lower level parking configuration roughly the way it is now, building a platform at ground, and then 5 stories of apartments above that. So, and the other from a site point of view, right now, we actually drive in here, and historically, a lot of people go the wrong way. By moving it down over here, it actually worked with the flow of the existing parking configuration. We do know it does create some issues for Landmark, who feels they're entitled to the entire street. But we're working through those issues, and we have some ideas that help them make that work better. So I don't know if you want to skip to some of the renderings. So
Am I going, I'm going in the wrong direction, sorry.
Going in the
hold on.
wrong direction. So right now, I'll go back to that just for a second. So
Yeah.
as you can see, the existing footprint fills the entire site with just about three. We're building on the same footprints. There's no increase or decrease of the size of the footprint.
And I'm still going in the wrong
And then if you just
direction.
want to
Okay.
go to some of the renderings.
So we'll go to the renderings.
Yeah,
Let's see.
so there's some color renderings.
Yep.
Also
Yep,
as
hold on.
well.
Hold on, they're here, don't worry.
But that's okay, you can stop here. So we fit this into the streetscape to show that it kind of maintains some rhythm of what was done there. This was actually three buildings back in the day. And this wall is actually a wall of the building that was there before. So we know when we take this down, there's some consideration for Rob's building that we don't drop any of that as well. So, logistically, it's like anything else building in the city. It's no different than, the tech project. We're going to have to close off Clinton for some time, and there's going to be a crane there, and it's going to be it's fun. But it'd be good to see something new going up in Armory Square, and we haven't seen anything new in that area in a while. So.
Good. Let me see if I can find those color,
Yeah, later in the pack, or, I have hard copies.
could be, no, they have it.
If
Hold
we're
on.
having technology issues.
Yeah, I know, it's, let's
Well,
see.
there's a view of it there as well. So, the base of it is clad in a precast panel, and then there's a couple colors of face brick, and right now it's a wood type cladding. It's basis of design is a Prodema material right now. And then as we go down the alley, and the back of the building, it's just a simple metal panel on the back alley side. And this is the Sky Armory Modern Malt alley elevation as well. That'll brick with a couple, we're breaking it up a little bit there with a couple very shallow bays. And we'll turn the corner there into the alley with a little bit of storefront. So really, it'll complement the neighborhood. Get rid of an eyesore.
See if I can, okay, so that's that one. Hold on. Go there. We've seen this one. Okay. It looks like, I think there are only 2 pages that have
Yeah,
okay.
you may be missing.
I was going to say, there weren't any real color renderings in the submission packet either. Just a couple of images.
Stuffed into the streetscape.
Those, okay.
There we go.
Oh, that's more helpful, yeah.
This is extremely beneficial.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah, that,
pass those one way, we'll go another way, get some color concepts and scale.
here.
Sure.
So, Jim, you're going to take the existing building down to basic grade level and below grade, and then,
We're going right down to the lower level.
because there's two basement levels of parking? Yeah, so you get -2 going down, so we'll be in the basement and build new up,
Concrete up to the top. of
concrete
it.
up to the first
Yeah,
floor.
so basically the concrete podium up to
Right. Oh,
this, sorry, touch.
But actually, that shows you as well, the floor plans, yeah.
right, and then on top of that, it's wood frame construction? Okay, comments, concerns from the board as we see these colored renderings that we haven't seen yet? So maybe another minute, or?
What's option A? I've got option B.
Oh,
That goes way back in some of our design images. Option
It's option A over there.
I was just curious if it was.
Option A.
Also is option
When I see option B, I assume option A exists. Okay.
There is no option
Okay.
A to be seen.
Okay.
This is what you're
So
going
option A
to
and B.
We've been working on this project, you can see it's a 2021 project.
My initial reaction when I saw these drawings 2 days ago was that this building sticks out like a sore thumb in the middle of Armory Square. I was looking at them with my 12-year-old daughter, and she thought they stuck out like a sore thumb in Armory Square. I think, you know, you compare them to what there is already. I mean, you've got the Neil Hyde building across the street, the Gilded Club next door, what Bob and Doucette, George Curry did with the original buildings down there. I just, that, the whiteness, the wood, the design, this, I mean, and this is like, I get the aesthetic of the day, but like every building anywhere being built looks like this. I just think, to my eye, it does not belong in Armory Square. It just, it doesn't fit with the neighborhood. That's my
concur.
opinion.
So you're speaking, I'm sorry.
I'm speaking to the,
You're speaking to
the look, I'm speaking to the materials, I mean, just nothing about it. I mean, I like the brick, I like the fake brick front, at least that hits the spot, but there's so much, the whiteness, I think it's wood, wood
it's the
panel, I
Prodema.
just, I mean, I don't.
I appreciate the anecdote you shared about there having been the several buildings there at one point and making a nod to that. So that is nice to see. I do concur with Bob's comments, though, that materially, formally, it doesn't really seem to respond in any way to the rest of the district. If you look at Armory Square at large, these are traditional masonry buildings with very regular base spacing, almost a grid of sorts. I see that it looks like, I was looking at the plans, the upper levels are projecting beyond the footprint of the building, so I understand the need to try and capture some additional square footage there for the project. But everywhere else you look throughout the district, the first floor is pretty much flush with the upper levels, so we don't have the recessed condition that's being created here. I appreciate the nod to creating some sort of a cornice element there, which is kind of a pervasive element. Here, though, it's sort of separated from the building, and it's inconsistent. I see it looks like between the images that you just passed around and the ones that we have in our packet, like here, it's at least balanced on both sides, so you get a little nod to some sort of symmetrical formality there, but they're kind of floating above, and based on this, I'm not clear whether the intention is to have both or not. I do have concerns, again, like Bob said, I understand the durability of the Prodema. I don't see the wood anywhere else in the district, though, whether it's legit wood or, you know, some sort of composite material like that. It doesn't quite feel like it, I think I like the word that Kate used, it rhymes with the rest of the district. It's me.
Okay. Jim, can you just make sure you're speaking towards the microphone, please?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm just pointing out that the back of the landmark is a white metal panel.
And that, I believe, is complementing the existing white, you know, masonry and terracotta color of that building, and you know, not trying to necessarily imitate the original.
Okay.
You mentioned historically what was there. Did you find any photographs or anything? Did you do any research on that to pull up what was there? Or?
We don't have anything of any, we've looked and I haven't seen anything. It's been a parking garage since people started taking a lot of pictures.
So to the south, there's the party wall. That's a 5-story building. So have we got a clue of scale and?
We're about one floor above that.
Okay, scale and massing on that. this does become a dominant facade on this block. You are right that we do have the tower of the Landmark Theater backstage. As Kyle just mentioned, it's more of a screen wall to kind of hide that addition to the Landmark Theater building.
Right.
And the articulation, breaking up the facade here to kind of just break down the mass is good concept, but again, materiality is inconsistent with the district, I feel. It's a acute response. You're showing articulation on the north wall. So are those bays articulated on that north wall along the malt?
Yeah, they're
side?
a shallow bay,
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
6-8 inch protect.
Yeah, and
projection,
I like that to break up the building, give it some rhythm. I feel it picks up historic nods in that regard.
That's on the alley side.
It's on the alley side, right. It starts to articulate the building more in a vertical sense that historically would have been done, as well on the street facade. You've kind of got the setbacks of the blocks to break up the facade. So I think the scale and materiality of the selections there, I think, are what I'm hearing are the major issues.
I don't have the vocabulary because
Right.
I'm not an architect, but yes, I
have
think
an
that's exactly what I'm
architect
trying to say.
Preservation planner, Howard, anything on your end? What's your
Concur
take?
with the style. If something can be similar to what's there facade-wise.
I think, I guess another item would be the large expanses of glass. I know that Sky Armory provided their sort of entry pavilion there set way back behind the malt. But that as a feature as well, the sort of extensive expanses of glass there is another feature that I don't feel is consistent with the vocabulary of the district.
Nicole, you're nodding. You have any other?
No, I agree with all the comments so far, and I'll also add the window patterns, I think stand out quite a bit as reading as more modern, and something similar to the other newer infill that still respect the historic character of the neighborhood would be more appropriate choice.
Hillary? As another architect on the board?
Yeah, let's see. So
Anything?
it is like a laminate panel with a wood grain, is that what it is?
Yeah. The basis of design is a Prodema panel at this point.
Yeah, I guess that kind of jumps out at me also. That panel, the rest is two different colors of brick, right? Or, okay.
Correct.
Did you look at any other material choices?
We could, it's a possibility, but this is the aesthetic that the owners found pleasing, the idea that something new is happening in Armory Square and not just another brick building. So just that we're here to hear your reactions.
I think I think you're hearing them that we're having issues with scale and material. I don't know if you looked at maybe a metal cladding or something that would have been around. The district's period of significance runs through the 30s or 40s.
Actually, I'm not sure, but 40s seem likely.
Yeah, it's just that
yeah.
garage on the corner of
Yeah.
Walton and Franklin. So maybe do a little research on that regard to come up with maybe a few other choices for cladding material and redo that with the owners and
Take a look.
open for conversation.
Yeah,
So
we're
this
just,
is,
we're not interested in building another fake historic building in the neighborhood.
No, and that's not what we're
Understood.
advocating for.
Well,
we're
kind of.
discussing, not really. Something that's a little bit more harmonious with the rest of the district, but not to in any way ape something that's pseudo-historical.
We're looking at blending
Right.
in. Can that blend in with that area? That's what the main, that's what I take from the group, the main aspect of it.
Okay. All right, we'll take that under consideration.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank
you, everyone.
Great project.
So I will, and those renderings were not part of the application that was provided to me by zoning, but presumably those are available, so, but I will
Take them.
send
Take them for the record.
send your
You wanna-
comments
you wanna
back
hold on to those,
to,
or-
back to zoning. All right, that is the end of our new business. Just under discussion correspondence, I don't have much more to report at the moment for the 700 block of Comstock Avenue, except that I'm working on it. And I do actually have a conversation with some of the fraternity houses tomorrow being Thursday. And also just a note that the revised resolution for 727 Comstock went back to the Planning Commission on Monday, and the Planning Commission determined it would send its revised resolution back recommending designation to Common Council. So that will be returning to Common Council for its consideration.
Great news.
Yeah, so we'll just keep moving forward with that. And I think that is all I have.
What of the
today.
plans that I saw announced yesterday for the dorm? Is that?
The dorm was approved at the Planning Commission meeting on Monday as well.
So I'm new to all this, so what does that mean exactly?
So that means they are now free to move forward. And
Well, as we spoke last meeting,
Yeah.
part of the
the seeker review,
Seeker review,
it turned out we did not, or rather the Landmark Preservation Board did not have a role, according to the Corporation Counsel's office, in terms of comments. So I did make some, as a member of the zoning staff and a preservation planner, I did make some recommendations in regard to screening, and those have been incorporated into the new plan. There were some other positive outcomes from that too, including that SU is committing to work with the Rose Garden on with some overall maintenance assistance, which the Rose Garden needs.
Yeah, that's great.
So there's some positive outcomes in that, and also in the end, it is a smaller project than it was before, and it does not require removing a hilltop. There's no hilltop excavation, as had been originally proposed.
So the plan that was confirmed was the one that they submitted when you came to give the support talk? So they're going to leave 727 as is? Leave it?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so 727 is not
built
physically
on it.
touched.
Is the parcel still included on that? Because
The parcel, I'm sorry, what do you?
they spoke about
You mean-
having easements along the parcel, but I'm getting a head nod from the crowd. Okay. So the entire property of 727 is unincorporated with the new project?
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that keeps the parcel contiguous and whole without any restrictions for future uses. I see it.
That's correct.
So that house will be in limbo until someone decides to do anything with it.
It does belong to Syracuse University. Yep.
They have ownership, but no plans at this point that we're aware of.
Yeah,
That
at
is correct.
To reuse the building.
That is correct. Yep.
some point it'll fall down.
Hopefully it won't get to that point, Howard, so.
Okay.
Okay, unless anyone else has any comments? All right.
All right, need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Howard, okay.
All right, thank you,
All right,
everyone.
Thank you.
Good job, everybody. Quick meeting, it's good.